Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Media Awareness. This is Rob. Before I continue, I want to remind you all that the fundraiser continues. For those of you new to my channel or unaware, I am a disabled individual, and I use a motorized wheelchair/scooter all day, every day for my independence, and I need your help. My insurance will not cover anything with regard to my scooter, as they view it as a quote luxury item end quote, despite the fact that I am unable to walk whatsoever, in addition to being unable to use any other type of scooter or power chair, or even a standard wheelchair for that matter, as I only have limited dexterity in one hand. In addition to that, I do not have a backup scooter or wheelchair to rely on at the current time, so if my scooter should malfunction as it did a few months ago, I will yet again be a fish out of water, a scenario I want to avoid at all costs. With that stated, below the title of this video, in the description below, as well as in a separate section below the information pertaining to this video itself, you will find a spot fund link. It is a fundraiser, it's easy to contribute, it takes a few seconds, and any and all help is welcome. I cannot stress that enough. Even $5 or $10 can make all the difference in the world, and you can even contribute anonymously. The purpose of the fundraiser is to assist me with the ongoing refurbishing of my existing scooter, as well as to help me save for the purchase of a new scooter. I arrived at these conclusions following the malfunction, as alluded to a moment ago, whereby my battery charging mechanism had failed entirely, and for roughly 2 weeks I needed to rely on family and friends to push me around my own home, which severely limited my independence. However, it was that long overdue wake-up call that I needed a backup plan, and a backup plan is to have a brand new scooter to use moment to moment, day to day, every day, as well as my existing scooter completely refurbished, waiting in the wings to be used at a moment's notice, if necessary, when necessary. Additionally, at the current time, I'm also attempting to save for the purchase of a wheelchair van. My wheelchair van, unfortunately, has ceased to function, and that is problematic for me in terms of my independence as well. I'm going different places, and although I could use public transportation, after falling off of a bus, while getting off of the bus, I'm really reluctant to do so. There is wheelchair accessible transportation for individuals like myself to go places. However, it only runs until a certain time of day, that being 5 p.m. So if I wanted to go anywhere after that, I would need to take public transportation, aka a bus, and I would be risking my life once again, as I kind of hurt my head when I did fall off the bus while getting off of it, as stated. So, with all of that, I do want to really urge you all to do what you can. Any and all help, once again, is welcome. I do want to extend a gracious thanks to those who have contributed thus far, in addition to those who plan on contributing, as your contributions have and will make a world of difference in my life. Thank you all. I love you all. Below in the description of this video as well, you will find a link to my video regarding the United States government shutdown and some real significant issues that people in middle class families or individuals and or lower income are going to be facing in the near future unless the government reopens ASAP. So please watch that video if you could as well, and do what you can. I would really appreciate it. Once again, it all means the world to me, and I do really, really appreciate you all. Love you all. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing to Media Awareness and becoming part of the Media Awareness family. I'd love to have you. Also, if you do subscribe, be sure to click the bell icon. That way, you'll will be notified whenever I upload a new video, just like this one. So this is an album review, and it's an album review of an album that quite literally changed the course of music history. Yet it's an album that really is not known by a lot of people. And that album is Buckingham Nicks. This is the CD. I will be giving you a full review of this in this video as well. But first, I want to stress why this album is so significant in terms of music history. Um, some albums are really that have changed music history are more well known. Of course, the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper, and Revolver, specifically, the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, and a handful of albums really that were able to shape and reshape popular music as we knew it. Now, Fleetwood Mac, the Fleetwood Mac that we know and love, with uh, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, Christine McVie, John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood, is one of the most iconic bands of all time. And whether you know the name Fleetwood Mac or not, you probably have heard a Fleetwood Mac song. With that being said, though, in the early career of Fleetwood Mac, they were a blues band. And they remained a blues band until 1975's self-titled Fleetwood Mac album, and it's often mistaken as the band's first album. But in a way, it is their first album in terms of a rebirth of the band. And that is due to this album here, Buckingham Nicks, which was released in 1973. This album itself, although it didn't achieve the critical acclaim of the self-titled Fleetwood Mac or the multi-platinum follow-up of Rumors, this album was crucial in reshaping the sound of Fleetwood Mac from a blues band into a pop rock folk masterpiece, and making the band a household name. And you might be asking yourself, well, how? This album was released, and it's very minimalistic in terms of its art, but it is beautiful in my opinion. And I'll be giving you a thorough look at this. But before I do that, I want to talk about it and its significance. This is an album that I heard as a child, and when I first started buying CDs, I was looking for this, and it was not available anywhere. And I would later find out that it was out of print and had never been issued on CD officially until this year, 2025. And how does an album that changed the course of music history just not be known? Well, it's partially because Fleetwood Mac, as its own, on its own, rather, became a musical force to be reckoned with. And the band did so as a result of um, them, the band collectively, enlisting the guitar services of Lindsey Buckingham from Buckingham Nicks and his then girlfriend, Stevie Nicks, who he, upon receiving the invitation to join Fleetwood Mac, did so on the condition that they also hire his girlfriend, Stevie Nicks. And because of that, the sound of Fleetwood Mac went from a blues sound, very hardcore blues, I might add, to pop, rock, folk, uh, just radio friendly, but also really amazingly produced and well written music. And it's because of Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks that that actually occurred, and that Fleetwood Mac is still around. Otherwise, they would have not persisted much longer as a blues band, as the British rock blues sound was dying off. Now, um, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks are not British, but the rest of the band was. And when this album was released, it did get its fair share of notoriety, but not nearly what it should have gotten in 1973. But Nick Fleetwood had heard part of Frozen Love, which is the final track on this album, and was immediately enamored. And as a result of that, and Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joining Fleetwood Mac, the sound of Fleetwood Mac changed. And the self-titled Fleetwood Mac album became amazingly successful. And Buckingham Nicks faded into obscurity. And I'm going to show the track listing here momentarily of this album, rather than going through it track by track and telling you my thoughts on each track, because all the tracks on this album are simply spectacular. And I don't want to sound redundant in saying that multiple times when I could just tell you off the bat that there is not a bad song on this album here. Uh, the writing is impeccable, the production is impeccable, the performances from Lindsey and Stevie are just outstanding. And the chemistry is undeniable. And it is the chemistry of Buckingham Nicks that really would shape the sound of Fleetwood Mac from there on in, once they were members. And once you hear Buckingham Nicks, you can see why. If you listen to Fleetwood Mac pre Buckingham Nicks and post, it's night and day, quite literally. And this album itself is sort of the missing a link, if you will, in Fleetwood Mac history until now. Its official release in 2025, or re-release, I should say, um, officially. It's been around as a bootleg for years, bootleg vinyls, bootleg CDs, but until now we have not received an actual official release, and I'm just really enamored with this album and the fact that I'm holding it in my hand. This was sent to me from a very generous viewer of my channel, one that really has been instrumental in um, picking and choosing items from the Amazon Media Awareness wish list, which is linked below in the description, and having them for me to review on this channel here. So I really want to send a thank you to that individual specifically, as without the individual, I would not have the ability to hold these in my hand and give you proper reviews of them. So this CD comes in a simple slipcase. It does fold out. So this is the interior of the sleeve itself, the actual gatefold. That's what albums that would open like this back in the day were called, and gatefold albums. And this is a gatefold CD, so you have the one side with the credits and track listing, and on the other side, a really nice picture of Lindsay and Stevie, and it's a really minimalistic style, yet effective and real classy in my opinion, personally. And this is the back of the album. Different picture from the front, with the sort of reversed polarity on the actual image itself. Now on the screen is the track listing, and from the first track, Crying in the Night, through the final track, Frozen in Love, this album is just immaculate. And there's no other way to describe it. It is perfect. Every song is great. The writing, the performances, and you can hear Fleetwood Mac as we know Fleetwood Mac on Buckingham Nicks, as this became the blueprint for Fleetwood Mac uh, from the self-titled album on. And in listening to this, there are songs that were used by Fleetwood Mac. Crystal was one of those songs. A beautiful song. A different rendition, but beautiful nonetheless. But you can hear also in the structure of some of these songs and the arrangements that would later be repurposed for Fleetwood Mac songs. And on this album in particular, in listening to it, I heard elements of The Chain, um, and other Fleetwood Mac songs, even Go Your Own Way. Um, they just elements that you would not think uh, came from anywhere if you just listen to the Fleetwood Mac catalog. Yet they stem from Buckingham Nicks. And the songs are not identical, so these songs stand on their own. Yet this album is interconnected to the Fleetwood Mac history in terms of the Buckingham Nicks era on. And a crucial album for Fleetwood Mac fans to have. Now, this is available in vinyl, and it's multicolored vinyl. You can also get regular vinyl, and you can also get a special edition of this that comes with the singles that were reissued recently as well. And it's neat that they reissued the singles. I think it's more of a marketing thing, sort of a collector's piece, more so than a must-have for any fans. Having this album in my collection is good enough for me as a Fleetwood Mac fan and as a fan of this album from my childhood, because I remember this album very well. And when I first got my CD version of the self-titled Fleetwood Mac album, I was really disappointed. I shared this in my Fleetwood Mac reaction of Rhiannon Live from the 1975 tour in support of the self-titled album by Fleetwood Mac that um, the uh, the quality of the writing and the performances really, really significantly came from this album here, and the style came from Buckingham Nicks. And I I shared in the video that I was thinking to myself, well, where are these songs that I remember hearing? I didn't dream them, so they have to exist. And it wasn't until um, later on in my life, I want to say in my college days, when I actually heard a bootleg of this album, and I thought, okay, that explains that. And uh, it was only available as a bootleg and not an affordable bootleg by any means, no matter how you were able to acquire it on CD, vinyl, or any other format, as it was really sourced from typically vinyl, um, and specifically a vinyl that was really clean sounding, or cassette, or 8-track in some cases. But Um, some individuals claimed that they sourced it from reel to reels. A reel to reel is the type of tape that is used in analog studio recordings, for those of you wondering. Um, but it was never really an accurate description, because even though it may have been sourced from that, it was a recording of either the vinyl or a cassette version. And although that is great, and you have the nice warmth of the vinyl sound, it's not as impactful as it is now with this. Everything is mixed so well on this album that when you listen to it, the sounds are just uh, they jump out. They really, really have it mixed well enough so that things that stand out should. And it was reissued and remastered, remixed from the original master tape, so it is as perfect as it can get. And I highly recommend this album, Buckingham Nicks, to any Fleetwood Mac fan or fan of Stevie Nicks or Lindsey Buckingham, because it is a part of history, and um, due to legal issues and rights issues, um, my understanding, this that's why it wasn't made available until now. And I'm so glad it is, because the album, like I said, from beginning to end, fantastic. Every song. But the closing track, Frozen Love, which features a fantastic, or may I say even stellar, duet between Lindsay and Stevie, is one of the best songs on the album, and, in my opinion, one of the best songs ever recorded. And I do mean that with all due sincerity. It is a masterpiece of a song. And if you have not heard Frozen Love, I did a reaction to the reissue of the track um, prior to the album being released. And that was when I was contacted by one of my viewers asking if I would want this for my collection. And uh, I was just amazed at how good that song was. And for years, I did have my own sort of homemade piece together bootleg of this from Napster when Napster was a thing, and we could download individual MP3s on dial-up modems. Um, as far as connecting to the internet, it wasn't just a click and you were there. We had to wait and had to wait quite a while just for one song to download. Um, but I pieced together the album, had it on a CD. It was from a poorly taken care of copy of the album. We were very, very scratched. But I was happy just to have it. But I misplaced that years ago, and all I had in my head was the memory of Frozen Love, Crying in the Night, and other great songs on this album, Long Distance Winter. Um, just songs that you will never forget. And much like songs on the self-titled Fleetwood Mac album, like Rhiannon, um, these are songs that are infectious and that you will not forget once you hear them. So do yourself a favor, if you are a Fleetwood Mac fan or a music fan in general, add this to your collection while it is still in print once again. Because there's no telling when this is going to be yanked and made unavailable again. So this is one that you want to have in your choice of formats and is available in multiple formats as stated. CD obviously, vinyl, and vinyl in different colors. So do yourself that favor and get this for yourself. This is Rob with Media Awareness, and I was very pleased to brought you this review of one of the greatest albums, historically speaking, Buckingham Nicks, and one of the most underrated and unknown albums, and an album that really did change the course of music history. Because Fleetwood Mac as a group influenced so many other acts, but they influenced those acts based on the sound that was cultivated from Buckingham Nicks. So this album is a must have. I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.